Quick test, seeing how this looks. Does it look good? Man, it's been 6 years since I made a video, so this is kind of crazy. For the longest time, when I would make content, I would make content trying to be someone that I wasn't, or I was just kind of trying to put myself in a box. And I think a lot of people can relate to that because we kind of have this need to feel like we have to like create content for like a specific niche, right? Like for example, if like you make music, then like your entire channel has to be about music. Or if you are like a woodworker, then everything is a woodworker. It's like we have this like this Renaissance style mindset when it comes to creating content that like whatever you're assigned at like birth, like you're a blacksmith, right? Or like you're a shepherd, then like that's what you are. For example, if you look at professional athletes, like that might be their bread and butter. That might be like the thing that they do, but they have so many other layers to offer. And I think for the longest time, I was just like, oh, I have to be an affiliate marketer, or I have to be a travel guy. And what I've come to realize is everybody is a lot of different fucking things. My name is Chris Altamirano. I am currently the founder of WattHive, and I actually feel very confident saying that because it took me a year to build this shit. I come from a door-to-door solar sales background. So when I started in 2016, it was an absolute grind. I went through that. Fast forward, I ended up, obviously going through the pandemic like everybody else. But my main objective was I do not want to work and knock doors anymore. I don't want to do that. The internet exists. There's got to be a better way. So I started building WattHive with the knowledge that I had, which was using WordPress. And I built it up to get some decent traffic, and I started getting a lot of leads, which is exactly what I wanted. I was like, yes, I'm getting leads. I can actually start to do stuff with this. But what ended up happening from there was I realized that all the leads were scattered across the United States. So if some of the leads that came in were like from or for like something in a different state, like say where one of my buddies lived, I would give the leads to them. But all the other leads, I kind of just sat on them. And I was like, what do I do with these? Like, I can't sell in these other states. Like, what do I do? So I started looking for different platforms where like I could sell the leads. And I realized like, oh crap, there's really not a lot of platforms where you can sell these leads to like a broker and then they'll resell it to a solar company. And so I was like, man. So my initial thought wasn't to get into the lead selling business. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to generate leads for myself so that I didn't have to go hunt. I did enjoy actually selling solar. That was actually something that I can honestly say I liked. I was good at it, but it just wasn't really working or happening for me. So long story short, I ended up getting a SEO job at an agency, and I thought that was my dream job. 3 months into it, I fucking quit because I was like, I'm ADHD. I can't sit still and just do very basic stuff for extended periods of time. I need those dopamine hits. And I think that's what addicted me to traveling now that I'm reflecting. So, I like to tinker, I like to build, right? So fast forward, I got another solar job, but I asked God, I was like, hey, if you're going to give me another solar sales position, for the love of God, yourself, please make sure that you actually, make sure that it's appointment based only. And lo and behold, an old, contact reached out to me, and he's like, hey man, I got this job. It was appointments only. Sick. We got a car stipend. Appointments were great. I was making good money. I was fortunate enough to go to the World Cup in Qatar, paid for the whole month to stay there. Like, it was a blast. And among that, just traveling and being independent. And so I was really happy for a period of time. But then I looked in the mirror at 33, 32, almost 33 years old. And I was like, this is your life. And I reached a ceiling. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it just kind of kept haunting me again and haunting me. It was like, you're leaving your potential untapped. You're leaving your potential untapped. And I was like, oh shit, I should probably do something about this. And so I kind of like picked up WattHive again, and in between sales appointments, I kept chipping away at it. And the leads kept coming in. And finally I was like, I'm going to do it. And I had always heard about how living in Chiang Mai, Thailand was like the thing to do, especially if you were in SEO. And so I figured it was like my rite of passage. I should definitely go do this. So I end up quitting my job, selling my car, moved to Chiang Mai, Thailand to be around all of like the big SEO guys. And when I got there, I was actually sadly disappointed because like what is portrayed in terms of like the online communities there is not exactly what the reality was. And so it taught me to take a lot of stuff that you see online with a grain of salt, right? Like, not the grass definitely isn't always greener. But for the most part, it was painted as workshops, and like people got together every week and there were things to do. And really, like, we got together every week, but we just partied, like, which was cool. You made some cool connections, but when it came to like actually talking about SEO, it was funny because a lot of people didn't actually do that. A lot of people just kind of talked about like where they're from and just regular conversations, pretty much just BSing the entire time. So that was that experience. So I ended up traveling around Asia for another month, came back to the States for the holidays, a bachelor party and a wedding. And then I ended up going back to Asia to keep building this. And around that time, then the Google helpful content update hit and all my web traffic just went bloop, clunked down. So ran out of runway, traffic dropped, had to move back to California to my parents' house because I didn't have a job, obviously. And from there, I just fell into a depression and I was just going through it. It was totally crap. And so I was like, you know what? I got to pick myself up by my bootstraps, right? Let me get this stuff going again. So I applied to 600 jobs and I got 0 interviews. And I was like, what the heck is happening? And so it's funny because just before I left to Asia, our solar office ended up shutting down and a few employees left like maybe a month and a half after I did. And so I didn't realize it then, but apparently the world was starting to change. And so I came back and that was the American economy for the time being. So just kind of fell into a depression, was kind of just going through the routine, started reaching back out to contacts within my network. And from there, I landed another solar sales job, had some appointments, so things were going okay. I closed the deal. I was supposed to get paid out like $6,000. And then the gentleman at this company, he ended up wanting to give me 2. And I had the numbers and the text and the proof of commission. And so we ended up settling at $4,000. But it was a stark reminder that like I needed to be in control of my own destiny. Like, I'm sure you probably think the same thing. And from that point on, I just was like, okay, I obviously can't do this the traditional blog your way to success WordPress way. So I have to actually rethink what I'm doing. And I spend a lot of time on X, and I think that some of the most intelligent people in the world live on the internet, right? But specifically on X. And I started finding out about some tools, and I started learning about a phrase that is really popular right now called vibe coding. And so I followed this guy called Riley Brown, and I saw this video, and it just like, boom, it just like, I was like, okay, this is it. So from there, I discovered tools like, obviously Claude, GPT, Cursor. I started learning how to build like a basic calculator. And so I just scrapped the entire WordPress site that I had because the traffic had tanked anyway. And I totally rebuilt it from the ground up. And then as I started tinkering over a year, I ended up building what you could actually look at as like the Zillow of solar or the Carfax of solar. And it kind of just evolved over time as I built it. This is where I'm at right now, seeding it with reps. Again, I'm kind of just going to start documenting exactly what I'm going through in terms of like scaling this company, because for the first time, I'm not actually trying to be someone I'm not. I'm actually like, yo, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to build. And I'm doing it and I'm living it. So from the time I discovered Cursor in January or February 2025, up until the finished platform, which I really finished in like December or January of 2026, I ended up moving to Barcelona, Spain with my now fiance. Surprise, I'm engaged. And we lived there for 3 months. And that was something that I'd always wanted to do after traveling to 29 countries. That was like my 7th or 8th time back in Spain or Barcelona. And so, I mean, the first month there was really cool, but the last 2 months in Barcelona, I was just in the apartment every day, just grinding 13, 14 hours a day coding, just developing this thing. So now it's finally at a good place where I can actually start bringing on companies and bringing on sales reps. So if you're in solar and you want to own your reputation, it's like a Carfax. When you go into a solar sales meeting, you don't really have anything to show for it besides your company's reputation, but like you as a sales rep have zero trust with that client. So that's a video for a different day, but that's where I'm at. This is, WattHive. This is the journey. This is me, Chris Altamirano. I'll probably post a variety of different things. It's probably not just going to be founder mode 24/7. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to the channel. Or if you're watching this on Facebook, welcome back to Facebook. Or if you're on whatever else you're on, then that's where you're at. All right. See you guys. Peace.